In this Sicha, we're going to learn about different levels and different types of Bitochon that Jewish children exhibited in the times of the Megillah, and through that Bitochon that Jewish children exhibited, so Mordechai was assured and knew that he has nothing what to worry about, that it was going to be all good for the Yidden. So we're going to learn an excerpt of the Sicha. The Sicha is a little bit long. Also, we're not going to go into all the details of the questions. We're going to skip over. We're going to try to get more straight to the point. Okay, super medrash. The medrash relates. After it was sealed, the letters of Haman about the decree against the Yidden, and they were given in the hands of Haman for Haman to send them out to all the nations of Achashverosh to do with the Yidden, etc. Haman and his whole chevra went very joyously, and they met up with Mordechai. Mordechai then saw 3 children coming from school. He ran out after them. Haman and his colleagues followed Mordechai to hear what's Mordechai's running after them. What's he need them for? What's he asking them about? When Mordechai reached the children, he asked one of them, tell me the pasuk that you know, that you learned. So the child told them, do not fear from a sudden fear and from the terrible destruction of wicked people that will come. Do not fear. Pasach Sheni, the second child opened V'amar, and he said, Ani karisi hayoim, today I read Ubazah pasuk amalati v'beis sefer, and this pasuk is where I rose, where I stopped in school in yeshiva. What is the pasuk that I stopped at? Utzu eitzu v'sufar, they were planned schemes, and it will be nullified. Dabru davar v'yakum, they will say things, in other words, all types of ideas, and will not stand. Ki imanu keil, because Hashem is with us. So that's the second child said. The third child said, until a person's old age, I am him. In other words, Hashem is with him. That until even older years, I will take care of someone. Ani asisi, I made. Vani esan, I will carry. Vani esba v'amalit, I will take care and I will save them. So even in old age, Hashem takes care of us. So these are the 3 psukim. When Mordechai heard the responses, by the way, it should sound familiar. We say this after davening. The Rebbe emphasized the importance of saying these 3 psukim after davening, Al Tira, and also Ach Tzadikim. So when Mordechai heard their responses, Sachak, he laughed, Simcha G'doyla, and he was very happy. Amrloi Haman, so Haman told Mordechai, what's this great happiness that you became joyous for the words of these children? Mordechai responded, Al bsuris toivish bisruni, for the good news that they told me, Shloi Efchad min ha'etz ha'rosh yatzol on top of the second column, I should not be scared of the evil decree, the evil scheme that you plotted against us. Miyad kos Haman HaRasha, immediately Haman HaRasha became angry. V'amar, and he said, Einani sholech yodit chila ela be'el tanoikis, the first ones who I will stretch out my hands against is only in these children, because he realized the power of Jewish children. The reason why he was so happy when he heard these psukim from children is because he saw those things, those psukim that they said as a nevuah. And that prophecy was a prophecy telling him that he doesn't have to be worried about Haman's decree. Like we find in a number of places in Gemara, about the idea that someone was asked a child, tell me your psukim. that the pasuk that they heard from a child was taken as a prophecy or something similar that comes from above. So therefore, Mordechai was also joyous about this good news that he was hearing a prophecy of the salvation of the Yidden, that he doesn't have to worry about the plots and the destruction and the schemes of the Rishoyim and so on. Top of the next page, Ach b'inyanenu ein dai b'kach. The Rebbe says, the Rebbe is going to ask multiple questions. We're not going to go into all the questions, but we're just going to go into the general question. That on our topic, this is insufficient. Just to say that the whole excitement of Mordechai and the happiness of Mordechai was only because they told him good news, and that was it. There had to be something deeper. Seemingly we must say so. Because according to this, if this is the main point of the story, to tell us about the prophecy that the children had prophesied, why is it important to note and to point out the details? He met them when they came out of school. And there were 3 children. That they said 3 psukim. When we talk about other details of the story, that he met up with the children without having to search for them. And that more than one child said psukim that had an indication of a good news and so on. It emphasizes more that it's similar to a prophecy. This is not necessary to be able to know the detail where they were coming from, if they were coming from school. Which is the fact that he heard it from 3 children. Then the Rebbe goes on into many more details. We'll skip over to Ois Daled on the next page. Second column, Ois Daled, 3 paragraphs from the bottom. It says, to be able to understand this, we have to preface and say, that the decree was to destroy, kill, and make lost the entire old Jewish people, from youth till elderly, small children and women. The cause for this decree has 2 points to it. Aleph, Megillah, like it's related in the Megillah, and also there's another component why it happened. Al pi Midrash Chazal, according to what the Chazal explain. As we'll soon explain, what the Megillah says and what the Chazal say and how they complement each other, why both of them are necessary. The Megillah relates, how did the whole decree begin? Because all the servants of the king would kneel and bow down to Haman. Mordechai would not kneel, we would not bow down. Haman was filled with anger. Was cheapened in his eyes to just attack Mordechai alone. Because they told him who Mordechai's nation is, who Mordechai's people are. And Haman wanted to kill all the Jews on Mordechai, the nation of Mordechai. What's the connection? Why would he want to kill all the Jews just because they're Mordechai Tzaddik's nation? What does one thing have to do with the other? Mordechai didn't bow down. What's it have to do with all the Yidden? So the Rebbe says in the second paragraph, this means when Haman investigated and searched out why isn't Mordechai bowing down to him, Vigila, and he discovered it wasn't because of some specific quirk in Mordechai's personality, or because of his position, that he is a head of the Sanhedrin and he's a leader amongst Yidden. So that's why he didn't bow down. If that's the entire reason why he didn't bow down, While sitem nicht gepasst, it was inappropriate for him in his position. So then, that's no reason why Haman should vent his anger on all the Eden. Rather, why did Haman get angry at all the Eden? Because he realized that Mordechai's not bowing down to him, was not because of his position, but it's an innate Jewish problem. They told him that who is the people of Mordechai, that he is a Jew. And a Jew, since he's Jewish, he believes only in Hashem. And he denies any idolatry. And anything that considers himself an independent existence, a Jew opposes this. This awakened the great anger of Haman, that Haman was filled with anger. Why did Mordechai not bow down? Because he's Jewish. That's why it was cheap in his eyes to just attack Mordechai himself, because that's not the root of the problem. That's only a symptom. Because the cause for the fact that Mordechai would not bow down is the godly spark that exists by all Yidden, from youth till the elderly, even children and women. Therefore, Mordechai, not only Mordechai, Kol Am Mordechai, the entire nation of Mordechai, do not recognize Haman's value, importance, and existence. And surely they will not bow down to him. And therefore, he was looking for a way to destroy all the Jewish people, because he saw that this was the problem was not a Mordechai problem. The problem was a Jewish problem. And because it was a Jewish problem, he had to get rid of all the Jews that by their very nature were considered his opponents, and the opponents to his ego and to his self-aggrandizement. That is the external part of the story as we read it in the Megillah. Yet we know that every external aspect must have the pnimius of it. Every outside thing must have an inner reason. Hashem wouldn't allow for even a possibility, or even that Haman should think of such of an idea, if not for the reason that there was something not the way it was supposed to be by the Eden. And that's why Hashem allowed for this possibility. Or else, whatever Haman would have done, whatever all the Eden would have done, could never have caused a negative reaction. It must have been something else, something wrong internally by the Eden that allowed for Haman to become upset and vent his anger in such a way. Top of the second column. How is it possible that Haman was successful to make such a terrible decree upon the Eden? Bear in mind, there was never until Haman's time such a total annihilation decree like Haman's times. All other times, it wasn't about total annihilation. Party was not out to kill every single Jew. The different wars that the Eden fought, and the different conquerors that conquered Eretz Yisrael and so on. No one had an explicit intention of killing off every single Jewish person, top to bottom, young to old, men, women, and children. And even with such a crazy idea to do it all in one day, it's like wasn't the gay to do it all in one day, but it's a different thing. So that's really wild. How can it even possible that Haman should have such a gzeira if not for Hashem allowing it? Now, why would Hashem allow this? Chazal explains, we'll tell them the spiritual cause for this was because they bowed down to an idol. There's different explanations what the idol was, when this was, if it was in the times of Nebuchadnezzar, or perhaps something else. So therefore, since by the Yidden there was an action, though it was only external, it wasn't that they believed in it. This activity was the opposite of the Jewish Pintel Yid, and it touches and damages the bond, the essential bond that every Yid has with Hashem. Therefore, it was decreed against them a decree of destruction and annihilation, heaven forfend. The entire existence of Yidden is dependent upon their bond with Hashem, and as soon as they tear themselves away from Hashem, from the bond with Hashem, so then that allows other things to come into to bear, like Haman's decree. That was the concern of Mordechai ad kedei, to such a degree. Top of the next page. For he dressed himself in sackcloth and ashes. And he cried out bitterly. Because Mordechai knew everything that happened. The simple meaning that he knew everything that happened is he knew the whole story with Haman and his plot and so on. But on a deeper level, Mordechai knew what was behind the decree. Mordechai knew why Hashem allowed Haman to do this. He knew what was the cause of this decree. Therefore, he was concerned. Perhaps their activity of bowing down to an idol was, heaven forbid, under the category of idolatry. But even if they just did it externally, but they didn't mean it, this points out the fact that their belief was not so revealed. If their Purim Yid and their belief would have been revealed by them, so this would have influenced them. That, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, it wouldn't, their belief in Hashem would be so strong that Avodah Zarah would never be able to touch the person's spiritual garments. They wouldn't have had any thought, or they wouldn't have said anything in speech, or never done anything in action against the belief in God, in the one God. And they would have given up their lives not to do even an action against the belief in the one God. For example, they wouldn't even bow down to Avodah Zarah when they do not mean it whatsoever. Because the desire and the will of a Yid is she fears and is scared by its nature from touching the edge even of the tumah of idolatry. It's against the belief in the one God, even on the external garments of the Yid, without a belief in Hashem whatsoever. This is all quotes from Perek Yutes in Tanya. Top of the second column, bottom of the first column. Therefore, Mordechai knew the way to nullify this decree, top of the second column, to awaken by Yidden the godly spark. Should come out to become revealed. To bring out this characteristic of Mordechai's nation, that just like he did not, so too they would not kneel and not bow down. So that feeling and awareness of Hashem should be permeating a call of to all the garments of the soul of thought, speech, and deed, till they would be ready for self-sacrifice, literally for the sanctification of Hashem's name. When Mordechai heard from the children that were coming from school, the psukim that express their belief and trust in the Eibishter, that the Yidden will withstand the test, They'll be ready for self-sacrifice. That is what he heard in these psukim. Not just like we said before, that Mordechai heard that good news, that they will be saved. Mordechai heard the inner faith that's at the core of every Yid, as the Sicha will explain. Therefore, therefore, he laughed and he was very happy. There's nothing what to worry about from the evil scheme that you plotted against us, like we will explain. And after he felt and realized this good news, it says, Vayikra Mordechai is begodav, that Mordechai tore his garments, Vayilbash sak ve'efer, he dressed himself in sackcloth and ashes, he went out into the city, he cried out a very great and bitter cry of B'chol Medina Medina, and every single country where the news would reach, a great mourning for the Yidden, and fasting and crying and eulogizing. All of this was done to inspire the Yidden, to express in a revealed way the Jewish spark, and readiness for actually being willing to give up their life in actuality. This actually explains a certain part which we skipped. The Rebbe asks, why after he heard the good news from the children did he go ahead and start crying in the streets? The good news was only that it told him the potential that there is by the Yid. Now he has to go out crying in the streets to awaken that potential, that Yidden should in a revealed way manifest their belief. Now he's going to go into the messages in these three specific psukim. Hevdel Bitochon shalosh psukim, who the difference between the content of these three psukim is. Do not be scared of a sudden fear and from the great, terrible destruction of Rishoyim when it comes. What that pasuk is talking about is a revealed fear, a revealed tzara, problem, persecution, and so on. Do not be scared. The pasuk doesn't explain why not to be scared. It just says don't be scared. The next pasuk, the pasuk utzu eitzu v'sufar dablu dablu yakum, when it says they will plot schemes and it will stop, and they will speak of their plans, and nothing will stand. Ein medubar al tzura mukshis. It's not talking about a tzara that can be determined with one's senses. In other words, not an open, explicit tzara and problem. El al eitz of a davar halulim lavil de tzara. It's a plot. It's a scheme. It's words. It's plans that will result in a problem. Not only do we say that these will stop, but here there's an explanation. By the Altira Pachat Pisoim, all it says is don't be scared. It doesn't give an explanation. Here where it says, it explains, you know why you shouldn't worry about their schemes? You shouldn't worry about their plots, what's going to happen in the future? Because Hashem is with us. A further thing, the pasuk Hashlishi, in the third pasuk, V'adzikna nihu, till his old age I am him, V'yitzeva ni azboil, ni asisiv ni asva ni azboil v'amalit, till even an older age I take care of him, and I made him, and I carry him, and I will take care of him, I will save him. There's no problem, there's no oppression and persecution we're talking about over here. Loi begoli, not a revealed and open thing, like in the first pasuk, al tiran pachat pisay mishar Hashem kisavay. V'af loi betichnu, not even a tzara that's being plotted against us, like utzu eitza. Ella al zikna v'seva. We're talking about old age. Shein talichim tivim bebriya shabarakash baruch. These are natural occurrences in the creation that Hashem created, that a person reaches old age. Not only do we say, I am him, meaning I'm with you, and I will carry you, or I will be able to handle it. Also, I'm made, and I will raise it, or I will carry it. B'mashmos haruchnis, in the spiritual meaning of these three psukim, matzbiim shloishes hapsukim halolu al sholish darges ba'ofen ha'emunah v'abitochon b'Kadosh Baruch Hu. These psukim point to three levels in the manner of one's faith and trust in the Eibishter. That these will result in a Jewish person's self-sacrifice for Hashem's sake, which is the point that we were saying. Mordechai was very happy that he saw the potential for Jews for their self-sacrifice, and now he was able to bring it out by calling them to fast and so on. Let's examine the first pasuk. Do not be scared from a sudden fear and from the destruction of Rishoim when it comes. Because of one's faith and trust in Hashem. Though, despite that by nature a person gets all tumult, gets all shocked when there's a sudden fear, and when it's the destruction of the Rishoim. But by a believer, Yehudi, by a Jew, there is no such worry. He doesn't even need an explanation. He just knows not to be worried. This is his natural feeling, similar to what the Chazal say, that everything Hashem does, He does it for good. So therefore, what's there to worry? A higher level of faith is that they plotted plots and schemes, and it will cease, and they speak matters, and it will not stand. Not only is he not concerned, Ella top of the next column, but he's sure. The tzara will cease and will not stand. It's understood for him the intellectual reason for it. Because Hashem is with us. Higher than this, also the laws of nature that Hashem established in the creation. They have no control over a Jew. And the Jew is not influenced by the rules of nature. Therefore, there needs an additional explanation. Not only because Hashem is with us, that's why I'm not scared. I am the one that did all of this. Hashem was the one that made that a person gets hold. Therefore, I will carry and lift, and I will raise up, and I will take and I will save them. As he goes on to explain, these three levels, they're reflected in the educational mode of a child in school. By the first child, the child at the beginning of his education, the chinuch is just saying the pasuk. He didn't learn more than that. So that's why that's all the first child said. Mordechai asked him for the pasuk, and he answered, here's the pasuk. Even before he can understand it intellectually, a child needs to be clear, but pashta, simply put, do not be scared of a sudden fear from the destruction of Rishoim when it comes. This is like the story with the Baal Shem Tov, that when he grew up, I think the Rebbe says it in a footnote somewhere over here, that his father, on his deathbed, that the Yisrael Baal Shem Tov passed away. His father passed away when he was very young, and his father told him not to be scared of anything, only to be scared of Hashem himself. There was no big, great explanations. He wasn't holding by great and big explanations. That's level one, the child at the beginning of his chinuch. When the child now matures and learned more, and you can see it from what he said, Ani korisi hayoim, today I read, ubezeh haposuk amarti, and I stopped at this pasuk. The Rebbe, in the earlier part of the Sicha that we skipped, the Rebbe says, why over here does it talk about I read and I stopped over here? The first one doesn't say that. The first one just quotes a pasuk, finish. Because here there's a deeper meaning. He's already at a level that he can already read on his own. He can learn on his own. And he can understand things with his mind. We teach him an even deeper premise. A higher level in his faith and trust in Hashem. They schemed the scheme, and it ceased. Or it will cease. It'll become destroyed. They plotted. They said words, and it won't stand. He's mature enough that he's also taught the explanation for it, and he understands the explanation. Because Hashem is with us. And the third type of child is shekvar hispateach yoser. He already was even more developed b'sichlei b'daita, in his intellect and his mind. Melamdim, he's taught shayehudi einay nivald. A Jew doesn't become shocked. Umisragish, he doesn't become excited. Mimigbolus mechuke ateva shetava kadosh baruch hu, from the limitations and boundaries and the laws of nature that Hashem established. Im kol ha'hezbar al pascha shlishu, but the entire thing, I made it. Since Hashem made these laws of nature, so I will take care of it. You don't have to be worried about any of this. Oisches, kashisham, Mordechai, sapsuk me yilodin. Kishahayu boy mebeis ha-sefer, or Mordechai heard these psukim from the children, that they came from yeshiva. That we also asked at the beginning of the Sicha, what's it important to emphasize where they were coming from? Their education was such that not only while being between the walls of the school, they were inspired, they were being inspired, and they were implanted in them their belief and self-sacrifice, do not be fearful, and so on. And they settle it also in their minds and hearts. But they are also supported, they also have this along with them, even when they come out of the schoolhouse, even when they're coming home. That even while leaving yeshiva, they have these type of feelings and awareness and beliefs. This brought Mordechai Tzaddik to laugh and to be very happy. From the psukim of the children he saw, that the Jewish spark is complete and whole and unaffected by all Jews. Therefore, even by those that the godly spark is not revealed, these children will inspire and awaken this. And they will reveal it in those Jews that are not yet fully inspired when they come home from yeshiva, when they come home from learning what they learned. That Mordechai was happy from the good news that they told me, instead of saying on the nevuah or some other expression. The Rebbe wants to know why specifically he's used the expression from the good news that I was told. That I should not be scared of the evil decree that you plotted against me. That's what Mordechai said to Haman. The very talk, the very speech of the children, that's the good news that they told me. That the Jewish spark and their self-sacrifice, that this would nullify the decree of Haman. These exist completely by all Jews. Shaloi efchad, I shouldn't be scared. Umeshum kach gam miyad kos Haman harosh of Elma einan yishlech yod itchilo beit lantanoikis. That's what got Haman so angry, because this was the problem that he was the whole time worried about. I'm going to kill these Jewish children first. In the Jewish children, he saw the continuum of Jews throughout the generation, that even the children have this continual idea of not bowing down to Avodah Zarah, and that's why he was so upset at the Jewish children. But that was eventually his downfall as well.